Hey guys, Heidi here, and here is your new painting tutorial. So you're gonna have this, which is a step-by-step, which I recommend you can print this and then give to your painters if you want, especially if you're offering maybe this plus the truck and tree. Now, all the different pictures I'm giving you is actually on a 16 by 20 canvas, but I'm gonna do a smaller version. Because last year, this was a very, very popular design, but last year when I was teaching this, I realized it was taking about 2.5 to 3 hours for them to finish this. So a couple of tips. If you want to offer, you could do, if you want to do the smaller one, it's 30. If you want to do the bigger one, it's 35. And then you could also have the red painted beforehand. So that way when they get there, you have this traced on for them already in Sharpie or however you want to trace it on. You will have this as well. So this is done in a, you just cut it out, like I printed this, cut it out, and then I would actually make it into a poster board version so it's easier to trace. Then you can bring the poster board so if for some reason you have extra people sign up. Now, some people will want to have this turquoise or a different color. You can leave that totally blank, like the canvas can be totally white. Then people can paint their color on. Or you could ask ahead of time, do you want it red? I just want to have the background ready for y'all. That just kind of makes the process go a little faster. So this, you'll have a cutout too as well for this size. You can see I've used this one a lot in my parties because what happens is if they get the canvas, it's blank, they paint it red, all right, then they use the tracer to go on top of it. It is so difficult to have it traced and have them to try to make it really pretty around it. So on this one, it is a little bit different. So that's why I was saying if you want to just go ahead and have the base coat painted for them. So the one that's for the tutorial and the one that you'll have in the marketing pack coming up in the next few days is a red background. The red background has way better results because a lot of people decorate with red, whites, blacks, grays. It's just a common color, obviously, for Christmas. So on this one, if you want to email them ahead of time once they've paid and then ask them if they want turquoise or red or a different color, or you can just do the whole thing where they paint it, let it dry about 5 to 10 minutes, then have your tracers, let me get this in the spot, have your tracers ready so that they can trace it on top. So that's where I'm going to start with y'all. So again, this tutorial is for you to use so that you can do your version. So if you want to make it a little different, you can. However, you do not have to. The beauty of being in Paint Party headquarters is so that you basically every month are just kind of waiting for me to give you the next new painting that I know sells, the next new painting that I know is going to be the fastest shortcut for you to make money during these holidays, okay? So the beauty of this tutorial is that you can just watch it, paint along with me, and there will be, for those of you that are new to my tutorials, there will be sometimes where I'm just kind of silent, quietly painting. The reason for that is I want you to be able to put on your own music at home. What I was saying is the beauty of being in Paint Party headquarters is so that every month you don't have to think about trying to come up with a new design. You don't have to think about getting your tracers ready. You don't have to think about what steps are first, what's second, what's last. It's a done for you. So that's the great thing is, just kind of get the next one and then, if that's one that sells. And another really, really cool tip with this, I just want to make sure y'all can still see. Another really cool tip with this is you don't, as long as you can, you're a pretty good painter, which most of y'all in here have experience painting. Some of y'all might be getting used to these tutorials, which after a few of them, you'll be fine. You'll know what you're doing and it's not a big deal. Because again, these are made for beginner and, intermediate artists. So as you gain your confidence, if you know, like let's say, you know, this gets released and you're like, yep, I can do that, no big deal, that's a great design, let me go ahead and market it. Use that marketing pack and start getting your parties booked. Then once the party's booked, spend an hour and paint it, you know, so you have your sample for the party. So that's the thing, like whenever you have these come in, you don't have to paint them all, you know, like in a frenzy, like, oh my gosh, I gotta have all these painted and ready and sitting. No, that's the beauty of it. Go to the marketing pack. In the units, there's a marketing pack for every tutorial I give you. And all you have to do is use those images, start sharing those images. It was so weird the other day, me and Pixie were looking something up and one of the thankful pumpkins came up and she goes, oh my gosh, Mom, it's yours, it's yours. And she clicked on it. It was from one of y'all from California who was doing a party with it. And I was like, oh, that is so cool to see. So yeah, just take it and start advertising it. And then as you have your parties, you know, then go ahead and paint it and have it ready because you do want an example when you get there. I do want to share something that happened last week that I thought was really beneficial for y'all to know. And all I'm doing is taking black paint and going right over my Sharpie. So you could technically have this ready. This canvas is a 9 by 12 or a 16 by 20. So whatever you decide to do. If you did the 16 by 20 and had the red already painted, it would be a 2.5 hour, which would be good. It might even be a little faster actually. So all I'm doing is, you know, so you could have it with the reindeer already drawn. That's what I'm going to do at my next event. For next month, I'm going to have the reindeer already drawn with the red background. I'll have a couple of blank canvases. So if they're like, no, I want mine turquoise, then they can just paint it and it's fine. No harm done. But yeah, so what I wanted to tell y'all is last week I experimented with offering 4 paintings at one time at an open event. The coolest thing that happened was, remember how I talked to y'all about posting on buy, sell, trade pages? I posted that one flyer on buy, sell, trade pages, about maybe 6 groups. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, if you go to Facebook, go to your county, so like my county is Hood County, whatever your county is, and then type in buy, sell, trade. When you do that, you will find tons and tons of like yard sale groups, buy, sell, do anything you want groups. It's basically free advertisement. All you do is you put your flyer on there, you put your clear call to action, paint party at, you know, Pizza Hut, whatever restaurant you've got it with, and then the date, the time, and the link to how to register. So I put on there painter's choice, and I had 4 different paintings. I had 2 that were Thanksgiving, 2 that were fall, and I had 2 that were not, that were just, you know, random ones. Like, you know, it could be the Simply Blessed that's in the units, or it could be the flag or whatever, right? So the key was I offered 4. And then I did, kind of like Charla in our group here, I did the same thing. You know, she had it in like a little clear folder binder. I just grabbed a bunch of dollar store gallon-sized Ziploc bags, and I put the paint in these. I put the paint in these, what they needed. Then I put one of these with the step-by-step instructions, and then I put their brushes that they needed, which was these 3, right? So everybody, when they came in, got a Ziploc bag, and then it also had a little thing on how to do the door prize contest. So some of them were already posting before I even announced the door prize contest. And that door prize contest was, you know, post a picture, tag the local goat, which is the distillery we were at, and tag Texas Art and Soul. And then they could, you know, whoever got the most likes at the end of the night would get the $50 gift card. Or we thought it was going to be 20, and then the owners were really excited about us being there and changed it to 50. So, and they said we can't use, I made the rule, like you can't use the gift card until the next time. Not only did I not want them paying their bill with it that night, but I wanted them to come back to the next paint party. Pixie's got lights wrapped around her neck and they're all lit up. I don't know what's going on over there. So I wanted them to be able to come back to the paint party. So what I'm saying is, some of y'all, and I was running around like a crazy person because I never taught really anything that night. I would go and demonstrate, but I basically just ran around the room, and it allowed for everyone to have more of a social experiment versus, hey, look at me, here's step 1, here's step 2, and it's kind of quiet sometimes and a little awkward. This was more like everybody was just grabbing their stuff and doing their own little painting, and then as they needed help, bless you, as they needed help, they would, either get me or I never took a break. I just, the whole time just circled them like sharks. So it is a lot of work. So I would recommend doing 2 if you've never done more than 1 at a time. If you're new to this, I do recommend only offering 2. So maybe offer this and the truck and tree that I released last month is like a good, trial starting one to see how you do. But the coolest part was I think the reason why that one packed out, and we're actually going to have a little area where there's a bigger space, but we're limited to 40 people, is because there were 4 options. So those 4 options allowed for people to, want to come in because they were all doing something different. Okay, this is one of those paintings, while something's drying, you're doing something else. While that's drying, you're doing something else, okay? So after we have the black painted, then they can use a hairdryer if they want, but they can go ahead and do the next part, which is, I have stencils for y'all for this. Where are they? But I'm gonna freehand them, but you don't have to. I have them somewhere. I'm just gonna show you how to do it freehand. But like I said, I'll have stencils for this part too. So just take white, and you're just kind of starting right here, and you just want to leave a space with your finger. Leave a space with your finger, and then just draw it up to here. Same thing on the other side. Start here, leave a space for your finger, and usually it's, a little easier if you turn it. Make sure you have a spot, and just kind of watch that you're going the same amount of distance all the way around. Like that. So it does not have to be perfect, as you can see, but you do want it kind of close because this one has some things that are a little symmetrical. You can see like the antlers aren't perfectly symmetrical. We're not going to have the lights symmetrical, so that's going to allow for people to have mistakes here, and it won't look like they have a lot of mistakes. And then all you do is on the end, you just do basically a little football shape, or a tear, or a, what else should we call that? A little leaf, right? A little space, go up. I find that people really struggle freehanding this. That's why I usually have a stencil for them, and they appreciate it a lot, because they, for some reason, and I've taught this one quite a bit. Like I said, it was a really big seller last year, and I've had people requesting it this year too. But for some reason, they struggle with going out with it. So instead of, stressing them out, I just have the stencil ready. And again, your customers will be so happy that you do. So I'm just going to fill that in. So it's just a little space between each one, and I'm going to do the other side too. Okay, and people can really be creative and just kind of, I really encourage people to just, go to town on this part and add a lot of fun details. But again, if they are not really sure what to do and they like this design, they can copy it exactly as is. little white heart. And then I'm still letting the black dry, so I'm just gonna add in the other details around it that doesn't have to do with the black. So I'm going to go ahead and add the leaves, and I have some stencils for the leaves as well. We're just using a dark green. Does not matter which one, just make it a dark green. And then I'm just kind of drawing those leaves. So just a little line, and then it's just like almost like a smiley face to a point. It's the holly. So I go from the point, frowny face, to the point. Fill it in. And then you can do one that's kind of right beside it. So I'm going to go out, smiley, to a point. This is behind it, so I'm pretending, smiley, to a point. And again, I have tracers for these, so don't stress your customers. Just take the time to have a few cut out in poster board ahead of time, and they can actually lay them on top of this and trace them with Sharpie or with just paint. Okay, so I'm gonna do the same thing on this other side. Again, we're kind of like right in this area, and then we're gonna be right over here in this area. I'm gonna turn this. Point. And remember, your group you're teaching, they're so nervous about their own art. They're not worried about like if you're the superstar up there trying to prove to them that you can do art, right? They could care less. They are so like making sure, they just want to make sure that they're going to do good and leave with something they're proud of. That's the big deal. So if you could be there for them and just really help them to get through that, and then when they do leave and they have something they're proud of, that's when they're going to want to come back. So it's not about, you being the superstar hero of, oh, look at me, I could, freehand this or I can do that. No, here's the tools you need. Here's the tracer you need. Here's how you can do it, right? So, and then if they need help, you can go in and clean it up. So it's just the smiley face to the point. Okay, let that dry. We're going to add some little berries in a different red. So we used a deep red, like well, this says berry red, but it's a deeper red. Just make sure when you use a Christmas red, it is always that, the difference. It's the Santa red, right? It's the traditional deep red. Don't use bright red for your Christmas paintings, because then it comes off almost orange. So be careful that you're buying the deeper red. So in Deco Art Americana, it's called berry red. And then for the berries, which I know seems weird, I'm using brilliant red, which is way brighter. It's like a orangey red, right? The reason I'm doing that is because I want it to have some contrast. If I just put on there the same red, we're not gonna see anything. So I'm just gonna add a couple of dots. Just gonna add one over here, and then a few over here. And my black is still drying. And then we'll let those berries dry. We're gonna put some details on top of them, but right now they just need to dry. Okay, so the next step, we're gonna take gold. You can either use a gold paint pen. Craft Smart is my favorite. Oh, here it is. Craft Smart is my favorite, and you can tell this one's been used and abused. It's an oil-based paint pen. You gotta shake it to use it. And what we're gonna do is we are going to draw these little details. So if you want these, as long as it's dry, which this background is, they can just draw right on it. So this is where some of them have a lot of fun and just do a lot of really cool details and extra fun stuff. If they don't want to use the paint pen, they can just use gold metallic paint, which I'm using Dazzling Metallics Glorious Gold Deco Art, but you can use any kind of gold metallic, and then you just take your smallest brush and then just kind of add your details. So sometimes, see the difference? I actually like the paint better on this. So these are like $2.50 each. So sometimes it's cheaper just to buy the gold paint. Make sure you have small liner brushes. This is from Walmart. $4.97 for 10. And they're not the best liner, but they do the job and they're really cheap. And so I like to have them because if they get destroyed, it's not the end of the world, you know. It was $4.97 for 10. It usually lasts me almost a year before I have to get rid of them. And that's using them at paint parties. So I'm going to go over this because I like this brighter. And for those of you that want the real bright gold, it's called Glorious Gold Dazzling Metallics from Deco Art. Yeah, this is a really good gold. Do you see the difference, Pix? Mm-hmm. Pixie's hanging out with us too.
I just got rid of a lot of stuff.
Did you? Did you go through a bunch?
No, I just picked out the stuff I really wanted.
Are you sad?
Yeah. Chewbacca's in there.
Chewbacca? Mm-hmm. You could probably sell Chewbacca.
I could also probably sell my Monster High thingy.
What are you selling from Monster High?
My big Monster High doll.
Oh,
the
yeah.
shirt has one of my shirts on, and I want the shirt.
I was going to say, you could probably sell that because people are probably looking for Christmas gifts and that kind of stuff. Okay, the black is still drying, as you can see. We're going to go ahead and add these lights. This I always stress to my customers. I'm like, this is my favorite part. I love doing this part. The reason I do that is because it really is one of my favorite parts of this painting. And another reason I stress this is because I want them to know it's okay to make a mistake and be whimsical and have fun with it, okay? So what I'm going to do is take my small liner brush with white paint, and then all I'm going to do is I tell them to start over here, kind of get the lining, like the flow of how they want to do it. And they do not have to copy mine, right? They just have to remember if they go under, the next time go over. If they go under, the next time they go over. So this could be a time where if you want to bring some chalk, they could just lightly draw where they want it in chalk. That would really help them out. Another thing I usually do at my paint parties is if they're freaking out, I say, do you want me to draw it for you? I don't mind. And then I just come over with white paint and make it real whimsical for them. So I just start here and I tell them to watch where they want to go. So if I'm going to go back here and I want to come out here, I know I'm going to go up here and then bring it down to loop here. So I'm getting a plan before I start. And again, this is where chalk could come in. This is where you could help them with, you know, this part is a little scary for somebody who hasn't done art, especially when they have this cute reindeer and then they're like, I don't want to mess it up, you know? So if you want to draw it for them, if you're confident with it, if not, then you can get chalk and help them that way. So that's going to go under. So I'm going to go under, up, over, and I'm going to stop because I want it to be tangled in the antlers. Now I'm going to go down, tangle it. See how I'm holding my pinky there? My pinky's actually doing a big job right now.
It's balancing your pinky.
My pinky is keeping this line from looking totally, because I shake a lot, and I think it's because I drink a ton of coffee. I started mixing my coffee half and half decaf, half regular, because I love my coffee.
Half decaf? So that's what I'm getting?
Yeah, half decaf, half regular. So now I'm going to make the flow go up. It's going to go over. Now it's going to go back under. Over. It's going to go back behind. So this part can freak somebody out a little, especially a beginner painter. So just a reminder, a couple of tricks so that they don't freak out is prepping them at the beginning. Don't tell them what I just told you, like it can be scary for a beginner. Just tell them this part is my favorite. It is so much fun because you get to be whimsical. The, you know, lights are tangled up into the antlers, all of that good stuff, right? And then you can also say, oh, I brought some chalk. If y'all are nervous, you know, and baby wipes, chalk, baby wipes. If you're nervous, use chalk, kind of get your placement. And then you can, if you mess up, just wipe it off with a baby wipe. And if you like it, then go ahead and paint right on top of it. They can paint right on top of that chalk if they want. So 2 different ways. And then a third way, if they're just really freaking out, you know, if you've kind of practiced this and you feel confident, you can say, oh, do you want me to just, you know, get the base just like I did? Now they can go over it like this to make it a little thicker. And that's totally fine. Like, I'm all about, you know, them having the best stress-free experience as possible. So if they want me to quickly draw their little light lines, I will do it in a heartbeat. Plus, it's, again, one of my favorite parts of painting. Okay, so we have those ready. Now we're just gonna add some little bulbs on top. All right, so let me make sure y'all can see, okay? To do this, it's really simple. It's just a small liner with black paint. I'm just gonna add almost like a little line or a little rectangle, a small little rectangle. That's it, almost like a little dash. This is just for the lights to have a holder. So I'm just going in wherever I want. People can do any color lights they want. This is where it's really fun to see your customers get creative. I stick to the gold and green because I want, you know, for those people that just like the traditional Christmas, I want them to have that for, you know, that pretty much goes with any of their decorations. Okay, so see how simple that was? Now we're just gonna take some of the colors, the gold and the green, and we're making, again, football/teardrop shapes. And filling it in. That's simple. Depending on what size they chose or you chose for them, 16 by 20 or the 9 by whatever it was, depends on the size of the bulbs. So you don't want to do huge bulbs, like you don't want to have this size bulbs if you're doing this size deer, right? I mean, you know, if you're doing this size deer. Just making everything a little bit smaller. So that might be a good option for those customers. Do what? Okay, so we're just adding the bulbs. And then now I'm going to go to green. Okay, just kind of adding them where you want.
How much longer?
Almost done. And then I'm gonna start, they're trying to do the vacuum, so they're like, how much longer are you gonna be doing this?
We're not doing the vacuum, I'm just wondering.
Oh.
Because you said you can help, right?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna help some. So I'm just adding the white. And this is where you can add, you know, again, you could do dots, whatever you wanted. I'm just gonna follow the design I have for y'all so y'all can see it fully played out. Okay, and then I'm just gonna do a couple lines. So the black is a little bit wet on some areas. So if it starts to turn gray, just make sure you get new white to put on there. Okay, while this is still drying a little bit, I'm gonna add my golds to the black, and then I'm gonna spruce up the leaves. This is another good painting that you could sell, like have a couple ready if they want to buy as an art kit. Which means basically you get the little paints ready, you have the brushes for them, and then new brushes because they're buying it. And then you have the canvas pre-drawn, you have a thing of instructions, and then a plate, a little cup for water. And then I usually would sell them for $25 or $30. And you could mention it at the event. If you want to buy these, they're great for, Christmas gifts. They're great for Christmas Eve when you're trying to, get the kids to do something fun because they're so excited about Christmas, all of that kind of stuff. And so I would, usually when I was making them a lot, now it's hard, I don't have as much time to make them up, but when I did have more time, I would make them, and sometimes I would sell, $400 to $500 more in kits. So if you don't want to, bring a bunch of kits that might not sell, as long as you have their email before you go, you could, send an email and say, hey, I'm excited about our event, here's what time you show up. Make sure you show up a few minutes early to get signed in. Oh, and by the way, if you would like to order, a couple of kits with this design for Christmas presents or for a friend, I can bring some made for you. So then if they go ahead and buy it ahead of time, just like their ticket, then you're not selling a bunch of, you're not bringing a bunch of stuff that might not sell. Because I've had times where I've brought kits and none sold, and then sometimes when I brought kits and they all sold. So it just depends on if it's worth the time. I just noticed I did not outline this one, but it's okay. I just did this part, but it's okay. It's not the end of the world. Okay, I'm just doing little lines in here. I hope y'all like this one. This one's really fun to do, and it's a really classic. When you're doing Christmas designs, I really urge you to stay away from, if you're making your own Christmas designs. I used to do stuff with all different colors, and it wouldn't sell, and I'm like, why are these not selling? And then I realized, that they can go crazy and do whatever they want once they get there, but for your purpose as far as advertising, you want to keep fall and Christmas very traditional as far as the colors go. It could be a fun, crazy painting, but you do want to have the colors pretty traditional. And it just appeals to more people, it appeals to more people, and then you're able to sell more tickets, and then you're able to, when they're there, bring, of course, all your colors and encourage all of that, because that's what makes it fun and exciting. But for your own marketing, you want it to be very Christmassy. That's why you'll get some of these images. I took like a whole photo shoot with all of it's almost like I have a photo shoot with my paintings, and I take I set up all this Christmas decor and make it look like how it could be presented in their home. Then people see like, oh, that would be really cute. They have a need for it or a reason they want to do it. I'm just adding little flecks of gold into the leaves. And again, this is where it's really beneficial to print out the instructions that I give you, not only for yourself if you kind of are still new to this and nervous, but also for your guest. Because some people, they're way faster than others. and they want to like get going, you know, and maybe they don't want to wait for you to tell everything. So if you have these, you know, and you can, and they're reading along and they want to go for it, they can go for it. So don't, you know, don't be afraid. And you can mention that, like, you know, this takes about this long, but if you want to, you know, go ahead, feel free. I'm going to be here helping. And then it kind of makes it more of like a conversation type environment than like a strict study, you know. Okay, so this is dry enough. Be merry and bright. This is freehand. So again, this is where chalk comes in. I would go around in freehand if they wanted me to. I don't use the vinyl stencil on this. You could use a vinyl cutter on this. But you know, it's kind of small in there and I didn't want it pulling up a lot of this detail. So what I do is I offer them, I can paint it for them. Or a lot of them have better handwriting than I do freehand. So the main thing I want them to do is I want them to have their and sign first. So that way that they don't get too far up or down. So their and sign should be kind of between where the neck comes in and this part of the neck comes in. So just a line, a cursive E, and a little line. And then they can put bright this way. So bright's kind of almost smiling. So we start here. And you want to just make sure you don't go too far, right? If it has a mistake, use a baby wipe if it just happened, or let it dry, paint black over it. It's not the end of the world. And then we can start again. The key is being confident to letting them know. So the eye should be just a little to the left. The key to being confident is letting them know if they do make a mistake, it's not the end of the world. Their writing at the end is not going to ruin their whole painting because we can let it dry and paint back over it if we need to. Even when you misspell. I have misspelled people's stuff before because I get to yapping and then I misspell it. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, walk away. Go get a drink. Let me do something real quick. And then I have them take a break while I frantically fix it. And then I just make a joke with everybody around. Like, oh, don't tell her. I spelled bright this way. So yeah, so every month when you get your new tutorial, remember, it's not about trying to, you know, of course, paint it, have fun with it, all of that. But if you're trying to schedule these and you're working full time and busy, of course, just, you know, start advertising them. And when you get your party, then go paint it. But know that it's here, you know that it's here for you. And that when you get your marketing pack, you know, use it like that. Just go for it. Start using it. I make them ready for you to use. And then you can get the most out of it. So I want this to be, you know, once you get in the routine and you understand kind of how everything is being delivered, I'm not trying to mix it up and make it crazy confusing for y'all every month. I'm trying to help y'all, you know, as much as I can have a profit every party. Because I know if you're having a party and you're making $350 in one night minus some supplies, you're going to have that feeling and you're going to know, oh my gosh, this is really cool. You know, this is what can happen. And I want y'all to have that feeling and then know that, okay, this is a painting I know I can use, I can make money off of, and, you know, start to trust that process and then continually have bookings. And I know January, especially here in this area, I'm going to try to change that this year, but consistently for many years, January has been my slowest month of the year. So that's why I tell y'all that if you're dependent on this income for full time, you know, have as many Christmas parties as you can and then put some of this money aside. That's what I do. I kind of like try to get, you know, as many as I can during this time. And then I try to store that up so I can take most of January off. But this year I'm doing some experimenting to see if I can get some January scheduled, and I'll tell y'all how that's going and if it's working. But in the meantime, I want you to kind of think about that. So like if you end up having, your goal was one party and you end up having 2 parties, but you want some of that to carry over into January, just, be smart about it. Put some of that money back so that way when January comes, if you don't have anything scheduled or it's freezing cold and it's iced over where you live, you don't have to worry about it. So this is Be Merry and Bright, and they can put their initials on the bottom. Use the templates, and again, there's 2 different sizes. You'll have access to both sizes, 16 by 20, or, let me double check it, 9 by 12. Let me write that down. 9 by 12 or 16 by 20. 2 sizes. You'll have stencils for both sizes. So depending on what you want to charge, 30, 35 is what I recommend, but you can charge what you want. Have your stencils done in tag board or poster board, and then they can just lay them on and paint right over them. Anyway, make sure you print these out too. This is something that can really help you at your parties, exact step by step. And then also a suggestion, have your canvas painted ahead of time. All the red or whatever color they wanted, so it's ready to go. Anyway, I hope you love this tutorial. Once you paint your version, if you do decide to change it up, please post it. I'd love to see it in Paint Party headquarters. And also let me know how your parties are going with this painting, if people are loving it and what's going on. Anyway, I can't wait for y'all to see the marketing pack, and I'm just so thankful y'all are here. You're such a sweet group, and I'm so excited to see your Paint Party businesses just thrive and make you lots of money for your family. So I'll talk to y'all soon. See you next time.